What's up, everybody, man? It's your boy Dub Q, and I would like to welcome you all to Between the Lines podcast. Make no mistake about it. Should the Panthers trade Brian Burns? You see the topic. We're gonna get on into it if we're gonna get on into it. But before we do anything else, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, make that notification bell go ding, and pull on up with your boy. Look, I I'm under the impression when you get stars, you take care of your stars. And for me, I've always been a guy, if you have a homegrown star and he buds out and happens to come and be a Pro Bowler on your team, you do everything that you can to one, make that player happy, and two, also make sure you do what you can to keep him there for the long term. So, with that being said, I've been hearing the nonsense. I've been hearing the foolishness. We got offered a great package for this cat from, I believe it was either Philly or one of those other teams last year. And they offered 2 first-round picks and an additional, I think it was like a third, or about multiple picks. It was like 3 or 4 picks for this guy they were offering at the time. And the Carolina Panthers turned that down. So, with that being said, if you were to receive offers for this guy with first-round picks, you got to understand the Carolina Panthers are in a full-on rebuild. This guy keeps coming up mostly because the topic of having to pay him scares the living daylights out of Carolina Panther fans right now. And for what they're saying is they don't want to pay a cat like this 18 to 20 million when he's only giving you close to 13 sacks a year. Every year, no matter what this guy has done since he's gotten into the league, he's improved on every single level. I mean, career-wise, if you see a guy who's 24 years old make Pro Bowls twice, and your team has been shit for the last 5 years really, but this guy has been on your team for 4 out of the 5, and he's made 2 Pro Bowls, and you decide that, hey, I want to use him as a leverage package, a package to really, get picks. I believe right now the Carolina Panther fans are going insane. You got to understand what you have in a guy like Brian Burns. You also have to realize with the Carolina Panthers right now, we have so many holes on this defense. A guy like this that comes around, you're supposed to take care of him. And I'm going to break it down for you guys. Opposite Brian Burns, there is no other presence at the defensive end spot, at the defensive end position. YGM has been underwhelming, giving you a measly 2 sacks this entire season. There's no excuse for YGM. He's not been hurt, and he has not been a factor in these games. But you guys will diminish the fact that Brian Burns, in spite of not having a running mate, he steady goes out there and consistently does his job and got sacks. Like I said, close to 13 sacks this year. And not having another presence on this line to really ease him up or give him any leeway to get to the quarterback. So Derrick Brown ascends this year at the defensive tackle position. But still we ran a 4-3 at the time. We're switching right now because we have Evero, but we ran a 4-3 at the time. And out of 4 men on this line, you only got 2 that were worth a damn. I hate to say it like that. I hate for you guys to really look at it in that way, but it's the truth. The truth hurts. Opposite Brian Burns and Derrick Brown, there was no other factors on this line. Unitas was a guy that showed up whenever he wanted from time to time. He might have got a handful of sacks, maybe in this season. YGM has been a no-show for the entire season. And previously, the couple of years before, he's been a no-show. And that's why I'm so hard on him. Marquise Haynes, I like the guy, but he was not a difference maker. He made a couple of plays this season, but to consistently have somebody else on this line other than these 2 guys, we did not have it. And when you look around at the different teams that has defenses that can get to the quarterback, you got the Eagles that had over 70 sacks, close to 70 sacks. They had multiple guys in double digits when it comes to the pass rush. They had Quinn. They had your boy Hassan Reddick. You know, big boy Fletcher Cox. They had everybody over there getting around to the quarterback. And like I said, you see how well constructed that team is. Any one of those men that's on that line can go off and get to the quarterback as well as set the edge and stop the run. We don't have that in Carolina. So that's why when Hassan Reddick goes into a playoff game and he dominates coming off the edge, you guys say, oh my God, we miss Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is on a team where he has so many pieces around him. All he has one job to do is get to the quarterback. But we asked Brian Burns to come get to the quarterback. We asked him to get out there and make sacks. We asked him to get out there and set the edge with the run. We asked him to drop back in coverage sometimes. We asked so much of this guy, as well as he's trying to beat double teams, to do all this. So the asking prices is different for these two guys. You got to also realize when it comes to Brian Burns, like I said, the cast around him matters. We don't have another linebacker that can get from A to B that could give this guy some help, some kind of relief. All we got is Frankie Louvu. Shaq Thompson has been underwhelming for me this entire season. Yes, he had 100 total tackles. He had over 50 tackles solo, but there were 50 quiet tackles. I didn't think there was such a thing as quiet tackles. Shaq Thompson had quiet tackles this season. I hate to tell you guys, for anybody that willing to throw his name out there and say, hey, he's a guy that's there, he was not. He was non-existent for half of the season to me. And that's me looking at these games, waiting for him to make a play, and it just never happened. So if you look at the cast that's around Brian Burns, if he had better talent around him, his sacks would be more productive. But instead, he gets one here, one there, one here, one there. Like I said, you would see this guy ascend through the roof with the right defensive coordinator and the right amount of talent around him. This guy could shoot up to 18 to 20 sacks. Look, the people that were training for him last year said, hey, we'll give you number 1 first-round picks for this guy because we believe in our system, this guy is a star. Carolina was misusing him last year. So you got to understand with this guy coming in this year, everybody talking about trade. You don't trade away a star, a unicorn that you have at a position that's a multiple-time Pro Bowler in your trash system. Now you've gone out and got a better coordinator. You need to make sure that you utilize this guy to the best of your abilities and make sure you get him out in open space so he can get out there and take advantage of his mismatches. This guy's a walking mismatch. There ain't too many tackles that can go one-on-one against Brian Burns and actually win. There's very few. So if you know that, you utilize this guy, you go out and get him help. You go out, you get him a middle linebacker. You go out, you get him another edge rusher, another edge guy that you can put out there that can set the edge as well as rush the passer. You go out and get him another D tackle. That way he can have a rotation in the middle. So therefore, defenses can not only key in on him and Derrick Brown. That's the problem in Carolina. That's why he doesn't have impact sacks. That's why his sacks don't come at critical points in the game. You want him to have critical points in the game type of sacks. And that comes from having a better cast around you. That comes from having a linebacker, an edge rusher, having linebackers that can go and drop back into coverage as well as do their job. So that way, people can't just key in on him. So to me, this guy is too valuable to give up. In my eyes, I see this guy being another star for the next, like I said, he's only 24 years old. So Carolina would be foolish to trade away this guy. And then you have to bring in another guy and hope that he can be as good as this guy that's already established. He's already a 2-time Pro Bowler. Possibly in the next 3 years, he'll be a 5-time Pro Bowler because there's not many guys in the NFC that can go toe-to-toe with Brian Burns, and he will flourish in this system here in the NFC. So you go out in this draft, you fill the holes of this team, you go out, you get edge rushers, you go out, you pair anybody that you can to get this guy some help. You go out, you go get your linebackers of the future. We have 9 picks in this draft, and you should have spent at least 2 to 3 of them on this defensive line trying to get some help for this guy right here. for this guy. Because like I said, he is your future. He is your star on defense. And you would be foolish not to get this guy help that's going to make this defense overall better. I get it. You guys say it's a passing league now and it doesn't matter. I beg to differ. Getting to the quarterback is just as punctual as throwing passes and touchdowns. Getting sacks can impact this game just as big as throwing touchdowns in the end zone. And if you get them in critical moments by beefing up your team, like I said, getting another D tackle, getting another edge rusher, getting some more linebackers. A front seven, we had a front two. That's a problem. This past season, we had a front two. Well, okay, a front three with Frankie Louvu. But that's before Frankie Louvu got hurt. Injuries had a lot to play in this too. But all I'm saying is you don't trade away a guy that could potentially hold your franchise down and be the face of it on defense. You wouldn't trade Luke. You wouldn't trade TD. Look, this guy right here, if managed well, can be just as great as a Panther as those guys. But you have to surround him with better talent. And I've been knocking on the table for this. You must surround this guy with better talent. How many more years do you think this guy's going to waste of his career waiting on Carolina to get better things around him? He already been grumbling. Now, the last thing you want him to do is just give up on your team. This guy is wanting to be here in Carolina. So GM Scott Fitterer, make sure you go out and get this guy some help. I don't care what you do, you go find another edge rusher. I don't care what you do, you go out there and get another D tackle in this draft. Show this guy that you're trying. You make sure you can at least get a linebacker, at least one. We're going to be switching to a 3-4, so you need to at least get one of those guys that can come in and really give this guy some help. That's all I'm saying. This guy, 34 solo tackles, 12 and a half sacks, and a forced fumble. This guy did a lot for us. So all I'm saying is protect the talent that you already had here that's homegrown. That's what it should be about here in Carolina, especially if they're going out there and they're producing for you. This guy's producing. So make no mistake about it. Show him that love just as much as he showed the love to us. It's been your boy Dub Q, man. Let's stop this whole thing talking about trade Brian Burns, man. They want to trade him to the Bears. They want to trade him to anybody who's willing to take him. This guy right here is a star, and you're going to be sorry if you trade him. Mark my words.